Hey guys, what's going on? What's going on with my hair? Hey guys, it's time to get back to work. All right. I do have things to do. I got an art class. There's two of them today, this afternoon and evening. But at this particular time, I'm a little bit free. So I'm going to give you a quick little lesson. It's not going to be much. But we're at chapter what? Number 36 when it comes to Genesis. That makes a 9. Okay, not only is 9 a nice conscious number, because in this situation it's the end of a story as well. It's the end 9 because the next story or the it's is chapter 37, which represents a 10. Okay, so 10 is the beginning of a new story coming up soon. All right, but right now we have to end this last little bit of story, and the whole idea was that the brother of Esau, which is Jacob, went on this journey, not for himself. All right, the way these stories are working out is that they are um, he's representing the spiritual side of the mind, and Jacob is, and his brother is representing the lower mind. And it comes in clear right here on this chapter 36, which represents a 9. It's representing the lower mind, that Jacob went on this trip just for him. All right. And he is representing the for his father as well. All right, so let's not get too complicated. Esau takes a wife from the Canaans. All right, so he's taken from the land where his mother and father told the opposite to Jacob. He needs to go and get a son or get a wife from the family and go up in the mountains and go and find one there. And of course, this is what separates people. This is how people say if you're taking a wife to the lower, then this is an outside thing, and this is the stranger, and you're never going to get anywhere with her. But in the way these stories have been worked out is that Esau comes first. You have to do the work. You have to be this person that takes on the stranger, and that you take from this land. Whereas in Jacob is the interior part. He can't do this. He can only represent or go to this higher place to find his wife. That's his mother and father told him that you have to go here. You have to take off. And you see that that's a repeat of the same stories that happened just prior to this as well. So the stories repeat themselves. Now, at the ends of these stories, now what happens is they're talking about Esau, who is Edom, and they're going to go through, these were the generations of Edom. This is how you know it's the end of the story, because this is it, and it talks about people dying, being replaced by someone else, or someone died and then someone was replaced. Well, that's because Jacob went and brought all these wonderful things to him. But in this particular part of the story, they get divided again. It says that the two of them cannot live on the same land, not together, because there's just so much going on. All right. So what happens is Esau, he says he's going to leave from Jacob's face, which means, he's back on the country. He's gone back to outside world where he's at, all right, where he's meant to be. He represents someone that is an outside person, a Canaanite. He's one of those. And he's also Edom. And what is it? And these are called Edomites, or whatever these things are called. But meaning red. And red follows this guy all the way around. This is the introduction of this lower mind as well. Not so much the introduction of it, but more symbolism towards it. Because red is this color for this lower mind, meaning, that it's the heart that has drawn him down to this lower place. Red is emotions, and so he's taken on a wife, and so they cling together as as the way it is, and this wife is religion. So it's a taking on the stranger, because the women in these stories just represent spirituality, the womankind in these stories. But you have mother, which is closer to your relatives or to your family, and then you have the strange woman, which is representing, going to get your comfort from the outside. And that works for some people, but it doesn't necessarily take care of anything that when you go in like inside, what God gives you and can take care of, no one on the outside can do. So this idea of Esau being red, he has the red pottage that he had, and he is born, he's all red and he's hairy from the start. Whereas Jacob, is a dweller in tents, and he's fair. All right. So this is just showing again the differences between like the guys that are tilling the land, or taking care of the land, the land, tilling the field, like as in Cain, doing this business representing red, earth, the lower mind. And then we have his brother, we get Abel, who's a tender of the flocks. All right. And all the tenders of flocks in these are women. Most of them, the guys that come out and give you some kind of some water and things like that into your feeding your flock. It's a feminine energy that comes in to do that. And instead of taking all of those words apart, each one of those names will spell out a whole nother story underneath it. But it's basically just giving us the lower mind. And you have to remember that this part of the story it's a continuation, because the next one is going to talk about Jacob. All right, and it tells them that they've been divided. Now he has to live in a different place, and his brother lives somewhere else. And we never hear any more about Esau. It's done. Just like we never hear any more about Dinah. That story's done. It's gone. All right. They played their part. They're done. It's gone. And so when he says that he's gone to live in the country, and when you turn your face from someone, then you're no longer in their view. You're no longer like to see Jacob. He's the brother. He's the inside. At least he didn't kill his brother. All right. So this is the first of the businesses that everything is working out beautifully. All right. And so, so when it comes down to trying to pick this particular Genesis chapter apart, it still follows in the four formats. All of that does. Everything does. And then so if you wanted to really get a breakdown of those names, you'll find out where all of those guys are by the four. By that idea that you just make up that business where the first is the mind, the second is the heart, which is your the emotional sides of us, is the north, and then the south becomes the third. The third kingdom is the south, which is the brethren. This is where we show up. This is where the sacrifice is, the tree, or it's the banquet. It's the bread. It's sacrifice. It's the Lamb of God. And then the fourth kingdom is going to be our spiritual side, whatever that spiritual is in this particular part. And so, these give us clues as to where these people's names actually show up in our body. Okay. And, but anyways, it's just really wonderful to be able to go in and tell these stories as they are. The spiritual side of these stories, we have been being connected to the symbolism, red, and land being being earth. That this is where the animal side is. All right, and that this whole idea of taking the brother's rights, it's this idea that it's once this guy steals it. Remember, there's always a trick in here. There's always going to be a trick. And in the future, there's going to be another trick. The trick is that when they put him in the pit, when his brothers put him in the pit and tell the father that he must have died. And as they very well knew that they sold him off to slavery. All right, so what we'll get is another continuation of these stories, is that we have to do this first before then we get that. All right, and this will be talking about Joseph. All right, son of Jacob. This will be the next little business that shows up in these stories. So, so chapter 30, this particular chapter doesn't tell us much, but it does show that, this family, this is where if you could keep it all in the family, everything is good. He is still representing the lower mind, but it's now been increased. And so it's a good thing. And the Edomites is a good thing in these stories, at least they turn out to be that way. But it's more or less telling us that the left and the right sides of our brains, they are in separate places at first. Then they join together and make one. And then it seems again, everything for the story's sake, everything gets separated again. And we start off on a new story. And that'll be the next chapter. We'll do that sooner than later. All right. Have a great day.